is a pool. Any chance?
I'll have to leave you for the pool part. I have to go to a meeting.
Well,
the pool.
The pool, I know. We all want the pool.
Well, I was just reading about it today. They had an article in the paper about the Scarborough campus voting for, I guess, a pool for the up-and-coming Pan Am Games, right?
Yeah.
Well, the pool was supposed to be actually at the end of the community center. I don't know if you know, if you go to the end of the community center, there's
no room for a pool.
It wasn't supposed to be in this building, actually. It was supposed to be, there was washrooms on either side, you know, the two washrooms.
Yeah.
The reason that door is there is that there was supposed to be, and I was just literally talking to somebody else about it, a second floor stairwell, and it would go over the laneway and go into that Canada Malting Germinating building. But that germinating building, and that was supposed to be phase 2 of this community center.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously it's the issue of money and the land, because the land is always being, you know, at premium here.
Yeah.
So that germinating building apparently is coming down in May of this year. That's the plan. I just actually had a city employee in here telling me that it'll be coming down. So that was where the pool was supposed to be. So whatever the city does with that parcel of land, I guess will be the crucial thing for this community to realize, that there's not that many places you're going to be able to put a pool.
Yeah.
So, you know, that land, if it's sold off or developed by any third party, you know, there was talk about maybe a boutique hotel, possibly, maybe with a pool in it that the community could access.
I know Adam Vaughn was, at least last year, he was very against having condos or any development other than for the city, for the people of the city to access that. And hopefully putting in a museum, or he did mention back then, maybe putting the pool that has been promised for this area.
Well, they did a charrette, what is that, 2 years ago now, a planning charrette, so they came up with all these concepts, and, you know, we made sure that the pool was always mentioned, you know, as a need, because the community definitely always wanted a pool.
Yeah.
The City of Toronto Parks and Rec Department has a master pool plan, and I know that it's always been controversial because, you know, everybody in the neighborhood wants a pool, and they're expensive to run, and they're losing propositions, I think, and that's why we heard this summer about more pools closing in schools.
Yeah.
You know, but pools are really
very important.
nice for the community, right? Be nice. I'm sure. I know the seniors have talked about having like a therapeutic warm pool.
Yes.
Definitely, that would be, even if it wasn't a huge Olympic pool, even a small venue of some sort.
Yeah. And the kids
nice.
need a pool too.
They do.
Especially living here on the waterfront, just to know how to survive if they fall in.
I know. Well, that was one of the ideas, is actually to build a pool on the water, like in the water. Apparently there's some models in Europe of pools that are in harbors that are a natural pool of some sort.
I don't know if I want my kids swimming in Lake Ontario, do you?
I don't know. They're cleaning it up, apparently.
Yeah, well, we also have all the stuff from the ferry and stuff, all the fuel. So,
I know.
Yeah, I don't really want to.
Anyway, that wasn't my idea, but it came up in the charrette. It was an interesting concept, but you know, it's all about money, right? And it's not so much the money to build it, because that's a one-time thing. Yeah. It's the ongoing operating costs that are expensive. You know, lifeguards and keeping it up. And
now I know this city is also trying to green everything. Is this community center becoming a green center?
Well, we'd like to become more green, obviously. So that sort of isn't, you know, one of our departments, Oriel Booth, who's our manager, works very hard with, you know, doing different targets every year. And they were really happy when the kind of team found ways for the cafe to, the paper plates are not, they're all biodegradable paper plates now, and the napkins are all, they sourced it all out and did all that, so they were very happy with that. And a year or two ago, a couple of years ago, we put the garden in on the side, so that was all with native plants and stuff like that. So we're looking always for more people to take care of that garden. But the city did a what do you call it, an energy assessment, and actually we're pretty good. They were very well. I'm listing Negronian. This building's 12 years old now,
Yeah.
so we're still pretty, good. So as far as our energy conservation, we were pretty good. But there's always ways to improve ourselves. So.
And this building also is unusual for Toronto because it houses 2 public schools.
Exactly.
So
interesting.
You have the community center. You're also a lunchroom for 2 different schools.
We are.
And
that's why the garbage was a big thing, the garbage or the recycling and that, because we generate a lot because of that. And then you have the daycare as well. Right.
And do the kids in the daycare go to the little cafe for?
No, because they have their own lunch prepared. But
Yeah.
their parents may come and use it. And the operator has been here now since September.
Now, do you share the gym with the schools too?
Yeah, the way it's in the legal agreement. So in the during the day, the school has access to the gym, the full gym, and at 3:30 we get half the gym, and then at 6 o'clock we get the whole gym. Because at 3:30 we have our after-school program, so we need it for the kids to run around in.
How many staff do you have here?
It depends on what time of the year you ask me, because it depends on the programs. So obviously in the summer we have more. There's probably about 50 staff.
After 4, can you please go out to the school bus? After 4 to the school bus. Thank you.
Last year we had, is it 71 staff in total?
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah, because it's part-time staff that come and go. Or this summer we hire, there's about another 20, 25 staff that we hire. Then we have a lot of students that might be coming, like students doing replacement. We have George Brown, Ryerson. We have students from Ireland, Belfast, that come over on exchange. I think it's interesting. It's a non-profit environment. Politics with money. It's always coming down to money, right?
Oh, yeah. And leading into politics, you have a lot of the government coming here for talks with the community at times. Or do you wish there were more?
I'm not quite sure what you mean by...
Well, like Adam Vaughn will come down. Olivia Chow's been down here.
Well, they use our space just as a rental space. Well, they don't pay for it. No, I'm not sure what we're doing, but they rent the space, and they have their community focus groups, I guess is what they have. And the BQ&A, the Bathurst Neighborhood Association, I think has been responsible for bringing in a lot of the politicians just to keep, I guess, the good thing to keep the community, to keep their politicians listening to what the community wants them to hear, right? Yeah, I know. Well, they've always been, I've been very proud of them as a community from knowing them 19 years ago, from the small group of people that really were wanting to get a school and a community center and some food and TTC, and they were gung-ho. David Smiley lives on the island. Do you know David Smiley?
I don't.
I know a couple people don't know David, and it's funny because he was like one of the first community activists. I'm
only here for 5 years.
Yeah, so David was, one of the first community members, and I remember going with him, and he was so upset about not having a school, not having a community center, that on this site he actually erected a pole, put up an illegal basketball net, and had a press conference to say we need a community center. And he was the first community member that took me to City Hall, and he said, "Come with me." I just followed him, and he waltzed right up into the mayor's office, and it was quite an interesting experience. So I've always been very proud of the community.
And Marilyn Roy.
Yeah, and Marilyn was right there too. Marilyn and David, and there's lots of good history of people, and now you've got new leaders in the community.